Hey everybody, this is Simply D, and sorry to be away from you for so long, but sometimes I just get a little busier than I expect to be. But thank all of you guys who decided just to follow me on Snapchat. Those of you who are looking to follow me on Snapchat, if you're on Snapchat, then you can follow me at D Simply D, one word. But anyway, let's get to today's In the Blind episode where I got a couple of questions that came in regarding the different hats that I wear and all the different things that I do, because some of you may not know about all the different things that I'm kind of involved in. And the list, from what we are discovering, is a bit long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do different videos for each thing, so that way these videos don't last forever, because some of you know I can kind of talk a bit. I know. For those of you who don't know, it's a little shocking, but yeah, I can kind of talk a bit. Anyway, hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day, and I know I did. I got to relax, which is always great. And because me and the wife are taking a vacation coming up here soon, we decided to kind of just chill at home with the kids, enjoy ourselves, and then prepare for what we've both been looking forward to, which is just time away from work and everything, because I do kind of work a lot. But the first question that came in is about basically how did I get started in the music industry, where did my passion for music come from, and does my being visually impaired affect how I perceive and deal with music. So like I said, I don't want these videos to be too long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just give you some highlights and some bullet points, so that you kind of get an idea of how everything else kind of shaped up and became what it is now for me in terms of the music industry. So we got to start at the beginning. So I have two main influences in the beginning of my music endeavors and my love for music, because music has a way of talking to me that helped me to deal with a lot of the things that were happening to me. So that I had no control over. So the first person that had a major effect on my love for music was my mother. She was always singing when I was growing up, and she still loves to sing now. And she used to sing this gospel song that I just fell in love with. And when I'd have nightmares or things like that, she would just sing to me. But it wasn't just gospel she was singing. She was singing Patti LaBelle. She would play a lot of Luther Vandross in the house. She would, Michael Jackson. There was just so much music in the house, and there was always something to either listen to or there was something to make up, because she really endorsed the whole idea of being creative and writing songs. My older brother, who you hear me mention a lot in these videos, but he's also one of my major influences, especially when it comes to music, because although we like completely different styles of music at times, he's also still one of the most creative people I've met. If he gets his hands on a keyboard, he will create out of thin air. So I've always kind of looked up to that. I've always wanted to be like that, but I just happen to be that way lyrically. Anyway, so my mom and my family, they were the first influences, and then even now it's really interesting, but my auntie is one of my biggest influences when it comes to music. Not necessarily because of musical style, but because when I thought about giving up on singing in the church and stuff like that, she inspired me to continue to move forward. And I thank God she did. She kind of just had a way of identifying what the issue was, and just shaking me a little bit and get me back to who I needed to be who I am today. So but my other influence, one of the earliest ones that I can remember, was from a teacher who I had when I was very, very young, when I first started school. Her name is Leslie, and that's all I knew her as for the longest time. Because to me, back in the day, teachers didn't have last names. I didn't know her last name, but I always remembered Leslie. And Leslie used to play her guitar for us in class, and she would teach us these songs, and they were like folk songs and songs that talked about changing the world and things like that. So that's where a lot of my topics and the way I felt about music and what music should do for people and what music should say to people. It should do something that inspires them to change or feel for a productive reason, not for a destructive reason. True, music has a way of tearing down walls, and it has a way of causing you to express yourself in a way that you otherwise might not know how to. But I remember being in her class, and I remember sitting in this like little half circle, or what have you. Sometimes we'd even get to sit on her lap while she sang to us and things like that. And I'll never forget those feelings, because that's the first memory I can, in terms of learning a song that wasn't taught to me by my mother. It was Leslie teaching me this song called "If I Had a Hammer." Right? And the song stuck with me so much because it talked about dealing with and getting rid of injustice and making sure that everything was fair for everyone across the board. And it still rings very true to me. And so it's one of those songs that I would sing to my kids when they were little. But I think when I learned the song, I was 3 or 4 years old. So that tells you how dynamic that was in my life. Anyway, let's fast forward a bit. I sang, I sang and did musical theater when I was in elementary school. Got my first lead role on a stage. So that was the first time I was really on a stage where I got a lead role in something. And my self-esteem at the time wasn't the highest, but when I was on stage, I felt like I was somebody. So a lot of my teachers along the road kind of continued to inspire me to do more and to continue to pursue this thing that I thought I just did as a hobby. I never knew that I'd be building, kind of a career out of it. So then there was that. Then let's fast forward to college, because of course I was singing and dancing and all that kind of stuff in high school. Girls liked it, so why not? It's funny. Didn't get many girlfriends out of it, but I did make quite a bit of money. So I guess that was okay. Anyway. Except for, it's really interesting side note. I found that it was entertaining to me that a lot of the girls loved it when I was singing to them in high school and in junior high and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was great until those girls became my girlfriend. Like, if I've only had like 3 girlfriends, and then my wife, so, because I've always been that long-term relationship guy, but that's a whole nother thing, because there's another question that comes along that we'll be addressing next week or a couple weeks from now. I don't know. But anyway, so let's get back on topic. So I was singing all through high school, all that kind of stuff. And then, and I found that I really kind of just loved entertaining. That was the thing for me, whether it was, or being a part of the entertainment world, whether I was on stage or working behind the scenes on different, musicals and stuff like that. I just really enjoyed it. I especially loved taking, very structured material and doing my own version of it. So I was doing my own R&B remixes of songs that belonged in musicals. So I thought it was really kind of cool. So then I got to college. In college, I joined the contest. In this contest, I came in number 1. It was a karaoke contest or something. And first prize was a trip to Vegas. I was too young to do anything in Vegas, plus I'm blind, so that really did not appeal to me much. And but the contest was kind of big. It was sponsored and supported by these major brands, Pepsi and a couple other brands. So I won that. I got an opportunity to audition for a record label instead, because they were going to be performing on our campus. So the record label told me, or the rep from that label told me, okay, to audition, you have to have a fast song, slow song, and an original. I did the fast song. Back then it was This Is How We Do It, which was Montel Jordan. Then you gotta excuse me, I'm kind of speaking a little fast because I know this will take forever if I go through each detail of how this came together. But then the slow song was I'll Make Love to You from Boyz II Men. Then they asked for an original. Now, this part I thought was really entertaining. So I did this original song, but I made it up on the spot. They had somebody who could play piano. I asked them to play something just, nice and slow R&B-ish, just take me on a normal R&B arc. And they did that. And I, made up the song on the spot. Then they asked me if I could do that again. I kept doing it for the next 15 to 20 minutes. I was just writing songs off the top of my head and, creating situations from conversations that I'd either heard throughout the day or things that they were asking me if I could write about this topic or that topic or whatever. Did that. And then I got signed to that label. And that I was signed to them for not very long, because they ended up getting sold to the Japanese, and it was just a really real interesting thing. But it was a label that everybody kind of knows the name of, but I just choose not to necessarily put that name out there. But it was an interesting experience. I can tell you that I learned a lot throughout that time I was signed to that label, because I learned about contracts. I learned that I signed a not so healthy contract for me, because I was basically getting, I got paid to perform, but I did not necessarily get paid for all the writing I was doing. And some of those songs or pieces of those songs found their ways onto other people's albums that, some people actually did really well. So, but I realized, and I was told by the management at the time, because the label gave me somebody to represent me, that my contract was terrible, but he was going to teach me how the business of what we do, he wanted to teach me the business because he said, the label might be getting sold, you might lose your deal, but while you're here with us and while, everything's going on, we're going to teach you how to do the business of music. So it was a great educational experience. I was 18 at the time, so I didn't have anything to lose, and the kind of what I was bringing in was really helpful. So so I was like, okay, this is great. But I love music. I love all styles of music. Like I said, musicals. I'm a big fan of Jerry Lewis in terms of performing and dancing and singing and all that kind of stuff. I'm a fan of Usher because he seems to me to be like an all-around entertainer. And and of course I have the influences like Stevie Wonder. But to be honest, I wasn't as big of a Stevie Wonder fan. I learned a lot of the Stevie Wonder material because, blind and people just think you need to learn it. But I was more a fan of those who, had a certain kind of passion in their singing, from Aaron Hall to, like I said, Usher. You have Luther Vandross. You have Brian McKnight, Babyface. I loved his writing style, because he talks about a certain kind of emotion that most people were having trouble digging into. And, even as I learn more about these people who've influenced my writing style and the things that I say and do, it all takes me back to those first couple songs that I, remember learning, the ones from my mother and the ones from Leslie. But those, I'm going to say, are the key points of where my love for music began. I even picked up a guitar because I wanted to be able to play like Leslie one day. So I'm still working on it. But anyway, that is where my love for music started, and it's just grown and ballooned and just soared since then. So now there's no one particular style I'm a definite fan of. I'm just really a fan of great storytelling, great music, and people who want to cause I love dance music as long as it's not something that's going to make people feel terrible about themselves, so that's pretty much where my passion for music comes from. I'm gonna stop this video now, but remember, you guys, that this is an ongoing series, and we're going to continue to put videos up and take you behind the scenes of what it is to live in my life, or to go experience my life in the blind. But don't forget to share, subscribe, and like this video, because we're really trying to move this forward. And I would love to be able to take you guys on a lot of different adventures with me as we go along. So let me know what you would like to see. Let me know what your questions are. And soon we will be taking you out of the office and into the world with me as I do a couple different things. But I can't take you everywhere with me because of confidentiality reasons and all that good stuff. But where I can take you, I will take you. And I think that's it. I think that's everything. Like, share, subscribe. This is Simply D of Intermix, and I will be talking to you soon. Alrighty? Y'all have a great day. Bye for now. Man.